Welcome to Breathe, Love, Parent, the Shine On podcast. I'm your host, Rach, yoga teacher, natural mama, and passionate guide in all things nervous system and connection. This is your space for honest conversations, emotional wellbeing tools, and mindful parenting insights. Whether you're in the thick of meltdowns or seeking a moment of calm, you belong here. Let's take a breath together and begin. Oh, hello. Hello. Lovely listeners, I am so happy to introduce you to Natalie Olson. She's a mama of 3 and a coach for mums who feel overwhelmed and disconnected. Through her 18-week private coaching journey, she blends parts work, somatic tools, mindset shifts, and inner child healing to help women feel grounded, self-led, and deeply connected. With depth, lightness, and a whole lot of compassion, Nat helps turn everyday motherhood triggers into moments of healing and clarity. And welcome, Nat. Where are you?
We're here. We've landed.
It's taken 40 minutes for tech issues, but we've arrived. Oh, goodness. So, Nat, we've just done a little introduction, but for those who haven't met you yet, can you tell us a little bit about who you are in this season of life?
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, I'm a mama of 3, and my eldest is 12, and my youngest is 2. So, I am knee deep in motherhood, and that is where most of my energy pours into. But I also have such a desire to support other mamas because of my own motherhood journey. So, that's kind of where I'm up to at the moment.
I can't believe your eldest is 12.
Yeah.
That is insane. So, for a bit of background, Nat and I met through an incredible container run by the delightful Angela Louise, Birthing in the Feminine Way. And through that, we connected that I had taught your children, your 2 eldest daughters, yoga, which blows my mind. And actually, there's a video I need to send you. And I'm confident it's your 2 girls, but it's the back of them. But you will know, a mother knows. But they're doing cartwheels. We're doing movement, and they chose to do cartwheels. So they just cartwheeled down the hall.
Okay.
Down the hall. So, and I need to send, I need to send that to you because, it was a very beautiful moment. Anyway.
Yeah.
So a little side note there. Yeah. And so now, what are you reading or listening to at the moment, if in amongst the time?
I don't read a lot at the moment, to be honest. I do love Audible, but if I'm really honest, with the overstimulation of sound in motherhood, I actually choose silence. But if I do listen to something, it would be a podcast. And at the moment, it is You Make Sense, which is all about the inner work, about parts work, nervous system regulation, with a lady named Sarah. And I just love the way she explains things.
Super interesting. I'm gonna be checking that one out as well.
Yeah, I think it's relevant to it, not just to motherhood, to anyone's healing journey. Should have something for you.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. That's great. I always love a recommendation, and I totally get the whole needing silence and choosing silence. I have just been down the coast, and it's the only place in the world that I tend to read a book. And I thought, oh, maybe I should just relax and listen. And same thing. No, I have enough noise in my ears and my brain.
Yeah, I can just feel my body tense sometimes, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's a tribute to you knowing yourself, right? And all the inner work you have done to be able to recognize what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, one of the things tonight, it couldn't come at a better time to talk to you about all things nervous system, reset, and motherhood. I've just got back from a 4.5 hour journey back from the coast with my 2 little people, first solo trip. So whilst I'm tired, I'm also really excited to have this conversation with you. And something that I admire about you is your honesty and rawness, but not in a motherhood is so hard kind of way, but in a way that's like it normalizes the challenges of motherhood. And you do show up with so much compassion. And I can see and sense that compassion for yourself, but also for others, which I think is so important. And you've spoken openly about loving your kids, but not loving motherhood, all the time or at times. So can you share when you first recognized that feeling and how you gave yourself permission to acknowledge it?
Well, I think if I'm being really honest, I don't know that I gave myself permission to acknowledge it or to speak it out because I didn't fully recognize what was going on. And I think a lot of that is around some of the stories that were sold around motherhood because it is this beautiful, very special, quite magical journey. And like we're told that, you'll be happy as a mum. It will be so fulfilling. And yeah, it is. It's also really, really challenging at times. And I remember being at the farmers markets when my eldest was 2 and I was heavily pregnant with my second. And it was like, yeah, great. Like I have the luxury of being able to go to a farmer's market, to be able to buy things here. And nothing felt enough. And I just felt heavy. And what my life looked like on paper, I was like, well, why do I feel this way? Like, if I've got all this abundance, nothing ever felt like enough. It was like, yeah, it honestly just, it didn't feel like enough. It was like I wanted my children to have more. I lived in a tiny apartment. I wanted the bigger home. I wanted more experiences. I wanted holidays, but I was about to go on maternity leave. All of the things that I was like grappling within me, but I was told I should be happy. I should be grateful. I was pregnant. I had a beautiful child. I had a supportive husband, like all the things, but I just didn't feel it.
Oh, and look, honestly, I can say like being heavily pregnant with a toddler is there's next level tired.
Yeah.
And that is next level heavy, like physically heavy as well.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's such a unique time for you to be able to recognize that and and remember that moment as well.
Yeah, and I can remember, how sometimes like once you've gone through the learning and you've learnt the lesson and you look back and you're like, oh, that's what was happening there. Oh, that was that moment. And that was the moment before, honestly, before I broke. And I was like, I can't, like, I don't know what's going on, but like, I can't continue living life like this. And that's what launched me into doing some more personal development stuff. Like that's where it actually really started for me once I had my second.
Okay, so that's really your turning point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the turning point. Firstly was saying I'm not okay. Like there's something, because I kept it all to myself, to be honest. A lot of it I carried for 6 months. Yeah, into my pregnancy. Like I even reflect now and I was like, oh, maybe there was some postpartum stuff going on that I just wasn't really willing to recognize. But just acknowledging that I wasn't okay actually like made like lighten the load a little
Mm.
bit. Like that I finally let it out. I wasn't bottling it up anymore. And then just seeking some support kind of just gave me some hope, like gave me something to work towards at least. And then from there, understand myself a little bit deeper.
So would you feel comfortable in sharing what kind of support, like what did that look like for you?
Yeah. So if I'm honest, I actually went to my GP and like they got me to do a questionnaire. And because previously, like way before children, I had worked with an amazing holistic psychologist. And I was like, if I can get this going through my GP, I can get some like, I think back then, like I could get a few sessions either for free or like discounted kind of thing. So I was like, all right, like I can do that. I didn't actually end up booking the sessions with her because just by verbally saying something, opening up that conversation with my husband, things started to shift. But I was also on a journey of finding out a bit more about what I wanted kind of career-wise, like as an identity outside of motherhood. And that drew me to doing like a personal development course. And at that time, it focused on mindset shifts, more of it. And like that had, like I had some amazing, trying to think of the word to say. I had to experience some amazing shifts and things started to open up for me. And then I started to head down more of the somatic work as well.
So you've spoken about, realizing that point of I'm not okay and then putting in the support. What point did you realize that it wasn't the external, but you had to go deeper within?
Yeah, I think it was really that weekend that I worked with someone who like is actually my mentor now. And it was understanding how we have memories and we have a particular perspective of that memory and we carry that with us. So mine had a lot to do with the relationship with my mother and actually a lot of judgment that I had held on towards her as a mother. And if I'm being honest, there was some resentment that I held within me. And it was then understanding and learning how to go back to that moment, physically feel what was going on, and then being able to see it from a different perspective. That I was like, oh, okay, by understanding like what was going on for me, helped me understand motherhood and helped me go, oh, okay, my mum was actually struggling at that time and she was doing her best at that time. I was a little child doing like experiencing what I was experiencing. Right. So from the perspective of that little girl, yeah, of course she felt the way she felt. But if we zoom out and look at that moment for how it was, it's like, oh, there was so much more going on that as a young child, of course I didn't understand. But now I'm an adult and I can go, oh, and like the compassion came. For me, finding that challenge in motherhood, the compassion came from witnessing my mum and myself, like kind of in that. Because, when you become a mother and then you find yourself in those moments where like your mother was at that time and you judged her harshly for not being perfect, like it was really confronting and heavy. And I won't lie, I was quite resistant.
Yeah.
But having that to support to open up and go, oh, okay, like, yeah, if I look at what my mum was carrying at that time in her life, yeah, wow, okay, I can pan back and just go, all right, there was a fair bit going on.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like it's not until you get into those moments of motherhood in a particular situation that is mirroring or sharing a likeness to what your mum experienced, that then you can if you choose to, become aware of it and use that as a healing opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's not something you talk about to people becoming mothers. Like, I don't think there's anything that can kind of warn you to be like, hey, you're going to be a mum and yeah, all this wonderful stuff or whatever. But like, you're going to be deeply triggered by your children and your mum. Like, you're going to see parts of you that are either, a celebration of your mum's parenting or something that can be an opportunity for some deep healing. So it takes courage, Nat, to be able to face that and then go deep within yourself and deep within the work. So kudos to you, because not many people do it.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, possibly someone has maybe mentioned it, but at the time you're like, yeah, sure. Like you're so focused on this beautiful baby that you're going to have. Like there's so many things, right? Perhaps you're even focused on the birth, but you like I don't know if you can really prepare yourself for the way your child is going to awaken you.
Oh,
Like, you know, even if you don't have children yet and you're listening, or maybe you don't have children, you're not choosing to have them, all good. But I hope I can swear on here, but
go nuts.
like we reference these moments as like a universal bitch slap, right? And I just don't know if you can really prepare yourself for the level of rage that you're going to suddenly experience that comes out of nowhere, that comes up hard and fast. And then the deep shame that comes straight after that rage has like flooded out of you, the shame and the guilt that then you experience. And then you don't really want to admit to anyone what you've done, whether you raised your voice, whether you've smacked them, whether you've it doesn't matter what it is. As soon as you act out of alignment with who you really desire to be, your shame gets like triggered. So you don't want to tell people about like, how do you open up a conversation about, hey, I'm a bit of a shit mum. Like, do you know what I mean? And like most of the time people are like, oh yeah, that happens to me, and like kind of normalize it. And yes, it's common, but I think then like there's space for an opportunity of unpacking rather than just go, oh yeah, that's pretty common. Yeah, it's common, but like you can shift that. You can do something to support yourself.
Yeah.
Actually still be compassionate to yourself.
Yeah. And you actually opened my eyes to that because I was living in this moment of being like, my kid is an asshole. Like, is everyone else think their kid is an asshole? And I was being triggered by their behavior, but I was like, okay, I just need to ask, does anyone else lose their shit and, sometimes fly off the handle or think their kid's a bit of a dick at times? Like, am I the only one living in this kind of bubble here? And this doesn't mean that you don't love them at all. We deeply love our children. And I think it's testament to the work you're doing, where I'm doing on ourselves to show that we do love our children enough to give them the better version of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you really opened up my eyes to that. And you're right. It is a difficult conversation to raise. And yeah, it depends on the capacity of the person too, I guess. But I think there needs to be more of a conversation around that, like the rage. I did it this morning.
Yeah.
I raged this morning and then you're like, oh, now I've got to repair. And there are times like when your nervous system is, on the fritz, like if you have sleep deprivation, and your nervous system is not being able to be supported for whatever reason it may be, that you might find yourself repairing more than you would like. If you choose to repair, I'd hope that people do choose to repair. I think it's really important. But there are times it's going to test you. Hey.
Yeah. And there's one thing I'd love to add to that is I think a key thing that mamas these days don't realize, it's actually a really big shift. If we look at how different generations have parented, that look, I'm not saying it's okay to like lose your shit on your kids all the time. However, the biggest shift that like I would say our generation is doing is the repair. Because many of us didn't experience a repair. Many of us didn't experience an adult saying, hey, what I did was not okay. And I'd like to reconnect. I would repair. Like I'd actually like to hear about what that was like to you. Obviously, like it depends on where your child is up to developmentally. But yeah, that repair's happening. And that's something that I remind mamas often because the guilt is so heavy, even if they've done the repair. Right? It's like reminding them like, no, you're already starting to make a change just by
Yeah.
repair alone.
And let's just talk a little bit more about that because not everyone will know what repair is. So, and we giggle, but repair is when, to put completely bluntly, when you fuck up as a mum, which we all do at times, and you apologize for that. So, I've got nearly 3, like she's getting closer to the 3 end, approaching 3, or thinks she's 13, and approaching 1. So I've got little ones. And so what that would look like for me is, for example, this morning, I yelled because my eldest wanted an ice block for breakfast in the middle of, when you're in the middle of breakfast, she wanted an ice block and was relentless, big meltdown. And I just had some expression. So then I had to say, hey, look, I'm really sorry that I yelled and the way I spoke to you, that's not okay. I'm really trying my best. I am human. I am trying to be better. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, blah, 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 And normally that usually follows with her accepting my apology. So I'm also teaching her to not say it's okay because it's not okay, and giving her language to then express how she feels about that. But yeah, basically it's an apology. It's owning up to the behavior that you've done or the action or what, how you've spoken to them, owning it, normal, like humanizing it as well, I think is important. Letting them know that you are a human, but not using it as an excuse. I think that's a really key point too, is
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah. I think
excusing
it
your
goes
behavior.
beyond an apology. It's beyond I'm sorry. It's a real honest owning of your behavior. And when I talk about repair and when I teach repair, like I've taught workshop around repair before, is one of the things that we're not taught, even in some of like the parenting world, is actually if you want to authentically repair with your child, you actually have to repair with yourself. Because the moment you become triggered and act out of alignment is the moment you've disconnected from what I refer to as your wise resourced adult, like, your higher self, if you like. You've disconnected from that, like from yourself, and acted outside of alignment. So there's actually, like, I add in another piece of repairing with yourself, because that's where the self-compassion piece comes in before reconnecting with your child. So I can see you're like really thinking about this. I think the important part to honor here is it's really nuanced to the moment. So what I'm probably talking about is where it's a really like big trigger, and that's something that you need to work through. And yeah, I think it's totally okay to lean in and say, I'm sorry, mummy shouldn't have spoken that way. Like my emotions really came out then. I would say something like, can we do a do-over? Can we start again? Something like that. But when it's really big and you're still feeling that intense anger, or perhaps you're at the stage of that guilt and shame, I would actually say, yes, remain connected to your child, particularly if they're young children. But your children can sense when it's authentic and not. And by authentic, I mean they can tell if you're grounded and connected to yourself versus you're still angry. Like, because my second is like she can catch my bullshit out of nowhere. Like a small change in my tone, she will know. So sometimes there are moments where you might choose to swing around at another time when you're both more grounded, where they're a bit more open, because maybe you have a child that gets defensive. Like I know one of my children gets quite defensive and they lock up, like there's no repair straight after the moment. Like there's so many nuances there, right?
Yeah. No, I like that. Yeah. So we're thinking, I was thinking more on a smaller scale,
Yeah.
but Yeah, big ones. And I do agree. There has been incidences where I'm like, I have to calm down. I need to get my shit together, before I can, because it's not genuine. If you're still angry, it's not. It's not an authentic repair. It might be a half-assed apology, really.
And look, I get it. In the thick of getting out the door in the morning, maybe that's what you do. Maybe you're like, yeah, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have spoken to you that way.
Mm.
Like, and then you want to keep things moving along. That's okay. Swing back later.
Yeah. No, I really like that. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm really taking it on, Nat. But even just that within itself, right? Like, from what I know, is our generation didn't receive apologies. And the generation above ours definitely didn't. They probably got to kick up the ass as well as whatever the situation was. Like,
Yeah.
not much of an apology, definitely no repair. So I think that's an important piece that you have picked up on too, Nat, with modern motherhood, for sure.
Yeah. Give yourself some grace. Like you're doing well.
And you can't do it all.
And
Like,
the other key thing is rupture and repair. Like rupture is the nature of being in relationship with someone. Like there's going to be misunderstanding. So it's actually a beautiful opportunity to show that you're human, but also show how you can come back into connection and reconnect with someone.
I love that. That's a really important point.
Like, I promise you, I mean, you can try, but you can't go through like have relationship and connection without rupture.
No, no, you can't.
Unless you're just happily being the people pleaser the whole time.
Oh, but how boring.
Then you'll never have a rupture. You'll just be rupturing with yourself all the time.
With it.
You're not with the other person. The other person's fine.
Yeah, I was just going to say that too. I was like, yeah, it's an internal rupture, maybe not external.
Yes.
Yeah, I do believe that that is a necessary skill and part of parenting. Parenting's not going to be, nothing in life is bliss all the time. And you can't feel the depths, the full expression of joy, love, and peace and contentment, what we would refer to as probably more positive feelings without feeling the depths of sorrow and fear and grief and pain and anger. And you can't, in my opinion, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to feel all the good things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be able to feel them fully but I don't want all that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just squash that down or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for touching on that too. Yeah, because I just realized that not everyone knows what a rupture and repair is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's important to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did mention before about some beliefs and stories and things that can come into motherhood. So would you be able to talk to us a bit more about how beliefs or stories, like firstly, what are they and how do you, in your line of work, how do you notice that they affect motherhood or how mothers show up with their kids?
Yeah. So as humans, we're meaning making machines. We do that well because that's how we make sense of the world. That's how we make sense of our experiences in life. And as many of us are aware, we didn't always have a resourced adult who perhaps had capacity at the time available to us to make sense of the world. So when we didn't have that, we made sense of it ourselves. And we come up with some pretty amazing stories. And with that, underneath that sits some beliefs, some core beliefs that we make up about ourselves. So just a little bit of insight of what children do that's developmentally appropriate and just what happens is as children, we generally make the story up about ourselves because that's like, if we're the bad one, then the world is still safe. So the world is still good. So that is a much smarter strategy than if the world was bad and I was good. Like, that's not a very safe world to live in. So naturally, that's what happens. So I was just trying to think of one of my beliefs, but like a common one is I'm bad. Something like we've made a mistake, we've done something wrong, like we've been yelled at, and in that moment we make up a story of, ugh, I'm bad. So that would be a common one. And something that shows up in the nuance of motherhood is this story around I'm a bad mum. And that thread comes back down to I'm bad. I'm not enough is a common one, because we come up with these stories like if I was enough, then my child would be perfectly behaved all the time. If I was a good mum, my child wouldn't be having a tantrum. If and this is all happening in the subconscious. This is all humming in the background. So if I use myself as an example, mine was I'm a bad mum. So whenever my child would express themselves intensely or perhaps detest something, like we need to back up a little bit. I'm an early childhood teacher, used to teach yoga, so I should know all the things, right? I should know how to get my child to do X, Y, and Z. I should know how to get them out the door in the morning, all the things. So when that didn't happen, like that massively triggered my I'm a bad mum. And I didn't want to feel that. That's the thing with the beliefs. We have these emotions and we don't want to feel that. We don't want to own that we're a bad mum. But from someone's perspective, we are a bad mum. Perhaps from that child's perspective, in that isolated moment, they might perceive us that way. And we don't want to sit with that. We want to be the good mum. We want our child to feel good. We want them to love us so that we can feel good about ourselves. So that's kind of, I don't know if I've just gone a little bit off track, but yeah, that's kind of how these beliefs can be humming in the background. And if we don't bring them into our awareness, they kind of drive the bus a little bit.
Yeah. No, I think you've answered that really clearly. So let's go to the example of being a bad mum, right? So let's work with that. So could you give us an example of I'm a bad mum, I'm not good enough, and I'm making mean. So I'm making all these behaviors mean something about me. And I can share my experience in the last probably fortnight. I've been deeply triggered by my eldest, and it might sound simple, but it took a long time. It took a couple of weeks for me to like really notice, okay, what's the trigger here? What's the trigger? And then become aware of the real thread underneath all that behavior was I'm not good enough. And I'm making it mean that I'm not good enough, and I'm making their behaviors and their actions and reactions mean I'm not good enough. So using that example or your example of I'm a bad mum, how can meeting a belief or this inner part with compassion, how can it change a mother's experience almost immediately or with an immediate kind of approach?
Yeah. So I think a lot of it often starts with becoming aware, because meeting it starts with becoming aware that it's there, that it exists, that that there's something calling you to look at a bit closer. So you just gave the example of, your child was behaving in a particular way and you're like, you noticed that. Well, so let's go to that. What were you feeling in that moment? Like your child was behaving in a particular way. Like let's paint, if you're happy to. I'm just throwing you in there.
Right, let's do it.
Need to, just paint a little bit of a picture. So
Yeah. So let's go with the constant no defiance. So she's, like I said, she's approaching 3. We've hit that stage. I think it's a stage. just the complete independence, the absolute no, the screaming, I'm not doing that, and it doesn't matter where we are. So let's set the scene that we're at the park and it's time to go. And, she's taken her shoes off. She's trying to take her pants off. It's winter.
Yeah.
And she's just not listening. There's no way that I can get through to her. And there's obviously other eyes around. And I'm just going, oh, God, same kind of thing. I'm a shit mum.
So, yeah, pause there because you just touched on something beautiful that you're like, we're in the park and then all these people are there. And you just said, I was like, oh my God.
Mm.
So I think we can all kind of relate to that moment where we're like, start to like
Tense.
up a little bit because, like eyes are watching us and that judgment of what do these people think about me as a mother?
Mm.
I'm a bad mom. If I was a good, I'm like, was thumbs up, just pop up. But it's that in that moment of if I was a good enough mum, my child wouldn't be behaving in this way. And because
Yeah.
they're behaving that way, therefore, I mustn't be enough. And that's what gets triggered in us.
Mm. Yeah, and then the emotion of frustration, embarrassment,
Yeah. So I even call mamas, if you're new to this work, I mean, if you're quick to label your emotions and you know them as soon as they come up, great. Most people I work with don't. And that's
Mm.
okay. That's not a judgment. It's just where people are up to. So my invitation is usually just to notice what is actually happening in your body. Like we caught your, oh my gosh, like sensing eyes watching,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And then if you pause and go within and just notice what sensations are present in your body. Like I'm actually physically shaken right now because I can relate to it. And it's like,
Mm.
yeah, like I'm tense. I'm actually a little bit scared, but it's just noticing the tightness in my jaw. My hands are starting to clench because you can use those as signs along the way to just notice where you're up to.
Mm. And like that shallow breath, it's almost like you hold your breath sometimes, like just keep
Yeah.
it all tight.
I've heard someone say it's really like, and I think this is it. When you can witness what is happening, it doesn't consume you in the same way because if you're witnessing and noticing what's happening, like who's noticing what's happening inside? Another part of you is noticing what's happening to you. So it just gives you a little bit of space so that you're not it anymore.
Mm. Okay, so what I'm hearing is just noticing the physical sensations in the body,
Yeah.
and then what would be the next step, I guess. So we're at the park, we've clenched in, we're noticing the tightness in our body. The child is still behaving or still acting as they were. What would you suggest we do next?
Yeah. So once you've been with the sensations, once you've noticed the story, like maybe you notice that, oh my gosh, people are watching, or for me, it would be, why won't they stop? Why can't they stop? Like, I need this to stop. So just noticing the stories that are playing out. So the sensations in your body, the thoughts that are humming out. You might even notice like you have a particular urge to do something in the moment. Notice the emotions. I know I'm saying to notice a lot,
No, it's great.
but if
Yeah.
anything, just notice the sensation in your body. Like just notice that. And what I share with my clients is give yourself permission. So give yourself 4 permissions that it's safe to feel, that it's okay to feel, that you're allowed to feel, and that you have permission to feel. because so often we just don't give ourselves the grace to experience what is happening. We're trying to squash it, we're trying to stop it, we're trying to push it away. We're trying to get it as far away as possible. But what we don't realize is by trying to do that, we're intensifying, we're really, kind of bottling it up, which over time intensify. So if you can just give yourself some grace to just give yourself permission to feel that way, like that in itself is simple, but it can make such a difference.
Yeah, even just hearing you say it's okay to feel, I give myself permission to feel, like that is, I can like just feel in my body. Just when you said that, I was like, oh, like just felt an exhale.
Yeah. Because could you imagine, this is kind of what like I relate to. If you were a child and, someone was speaking to you in the way that your adult you was speaking to in your head, and likely someone did, of like, shh, stop it, stop, don't do that, be quiet, whatever it is, like it doesn't really help, does it? Whereas imagine if someone leaned in and went, hey, it's okay to feel.
Mm.
It's safe to feel this. Like really normalizing that there's something going on in your body and that's okay.
Mm. Yeah, wow. Oh, yeah. I just like, yes, we all need that. And mamas need that now. Like, we need to know that it's okay and normalize. Yes, as you said, normalize that the feeling, but also normalize that every mum feels this. Even any mother that you perceive to have it or like, perceive to have it all together, or the calm mum, any of those kind of perceptions out there, or self-proclaimed gurus in the parenting world.
Because the
Yeah.
truth is, it's not about being calm. What allows us to be quote unquote calm is actually more about capacity. So how much you're able to be with the intensity of the emotion. So by that, I mean, I still feel anger. I still feel rage. It still floods up in my body, but I have a better ability to feel it come up in my body, almost feel it wanting to flow out. But because I can go, hey, Nat, yeah, I get it. Like, this is tough. I get it. You just want her to shut up. I get it. Whatever, like just acknowledging and going, you know what? It's okay to feel that way. I don't have the need to project it out onto my children or onto my husband at times. I have the capacity, because as you grow capacity, what you find is you not only do you hold capacity to hold the space for the rage, for the anger, you eventually, through practice, you're able to hold the space for rage and for love simultaneously. You can hold compassion for your child, understand them, hold space for your rage, and still hold the boundary lovingly, rather than it being a forceful nature or a like snapping back, whatever it is for you. That's what we're working towards. We're not working towards a Zen calm. We're working towards just being able to be with what actually is happening.
Yeah, it was you who actually helped dissolve my perception of the calm mum.
Okay.
It was you, yeah, because I had this belief, I'm a yoga teacher. I specialize in children's movement and family connection. And, I should be the calm. And I've had people be like, well, you're the calm mum. And I'm like, I am so far from the calm mum. And so it built this belief that that's something that I had to be. And then it wasn't until, you introduced me to the concept of the authentic mother.
Yeah.
And I that resonates with me deeply. I'm like, oh, that's what I want to be. But yeah, here's that other story of being calm, always calm mum.
Mm.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to meet her, actually. Imagine meeting someone who's constantly calm. Like, are they high? Like,
Totally. Like there's a whole lot of stuff going on. Or they have this wonderful part that kicks in and pretends that everything's okay, that squashes everything else down. That stuff doesn't exist. That angry part of me, it's not there. I'm not going to let it pop out until it does.
mm,
I want to, like, I'm kind of skipping over a few steps, but I want to like track a little bit back to that moment when you're standing at the park and you're not enough, not fit, that you're feeling not enough.
mm.
What do you think your child is feeling in the moment that they're being defiant, right? Like our perspective is they're being defiant. But if we look at enoughness, that your child feels so free to express themselves, that they feel like they have the audacity to just strip their pants off, kick their shoes off, and be like, I'm not going anywhere, Mum. Like, I'm here to stay. From their perspective and who they get to be around you, what does that show you about how they view your enoughness?
You know, I'd not actually thought about their view of my enoughness. Something that I've been working on in the last week has been rewriting the script of, you know, so if my child's yelling, it's being just restating to myself, my child feels safe to be heard, or
Yeah.
my child feels safe to be expressive or to express themselves fully, to express themselves authentically. But I haven't actually thought about the perspective of how they would perceive my enoughness, because I think, and I'd hope that I think my inner critic is much worse than what they actually think. Like I'm sure that they think I'm okay. I'm sure they don't think I'm terrible.
Yeah, because from a child's eyes and perspective, like their primary caregiver, their mama, like we're talking about mamas. The truth is we're always enough to them, but we create all these stories around that creates like that stops that flow of enoughness kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
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 I've skipped a few like coaching steps that normally I would like take you through on a journey.
No, and I think
Kind
that's
of what we touch on is like we feel not enough, but we're so enough, like from our child's perspective.
we're everything to them.
Exactly.
We're everything. And well, also too, they don't, depending on the age of your child, they don't know what not enough is unless you showed them that.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, there's so many like layers to that. But something that I want to go back to with this perspective kind of shift and how we can look at things in different ways and we can create meaning in whatever way we want. If my story is I'm a bad mum, right? And like this is my example for like, okay, I'm standing in the kitchen and my child really wants a cookie. They've already had a cookie that day. In fact, we've already had ice cream that day and dinner is in half an hour. And I'm in the kitchen and I'm like, no, darling, like there's no cookie, dinner soon. They lose their mind. They're getting cranky with me. I might feel like I'm a bad mum because they're losing their mind at me because I'm saying no and I'm uncomfortable with saying no because like, look at that. Look at what's happening. And then the emotion that arises in me. But if I can't sit and own that actually from my child's perspective right now, I'm the worst mum.
Mm.
Told them they can't have a cookie. Like that's all they want. right now in their moment, in their whole world, that is all they want is a cookie. So yeah, I am a really bad mum, but I can own that and know that I'm also a really good mum and I'm really sorry we're not having a cookie.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
can't control if they grow up older and they have a memory and they have a story of me saying no to a cookie. Maybe they've made that mean I'm bad. I don't know. I can't control that. They have their own sovereign journey.
Mm.
But that's where we can kind of get curious and look at things through many lenses. But that would be more of a mindset piece. And then there's also the somatic piece that comes with it too. Of
Yeah.
feeling.
My daughter's lately been like, I don't like you, mum, when I've said no or I don't know, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, darling. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
That can really cut you to the core. Like if they catch you without enough sleep and whatnot, you can be like, okay.
Yeah. Some days it's more like, okay, cool. And then other times I'm like, all right. And then once she's had her time and she'll come back and be like, I like you now, mum. And I'm like, oh, okay, thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thanks.
All right, we're back on track. Lucky I'm not taking it all. Like, take it as a grain of salt. It's like, okay, darling, sure. Yep, I'm terrible. I know I'm the worst. You're the worst, mom.
Yeah.
Cool. Just want you to wear pants in the middle of winter. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So controlling.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. No, well, thank you, Nat. That's like a really beautiful insight into how you can support mums through your coaching program. And yeah, before we wrap up today, there's a few things that I would like to cover. I'd like to talk about your formal coaching. So for mums listening who can't yet, actually, no, for mums listening, to, scrap that.
Just to share a bit about my coaching.
Kat, can you please share with us about your formal coaching? Like you've just given us a bit of a snippet. Yeah, talk to us about what does that look like? How do we find you? Yeah,
So
what is that?
the easiest
Yeah.
way to find me is through social media. On Instagram, Natalie Olson, Olson with an O. Same on Facebook, honestly, Messenger. I get back way faster on Messenger than email. It's just the way I work. I'm just maybe that generation. Who knows? That's the easiest way. And yeah, so working with me looks like one-on-one sessions alongside modules because the one-on-one sessions are really about me supporting you to go deep within because sometimes we actually just need someone to hold space for us. Like I've been doing this for years and I'm a coach and I still choose to be in containers or work with coaches or mentors, healers, whatever it is to be held. So like I said, I support mamas in those one-on-one sessions. You also get access to me via Voxer, and that is so that I can support you in those little incidentals because, sometimes you just need a little extra support while you're learning and implementing these new skills. And then there's just some modules just to support your understanding because in the one-on-one sessions, I love to go deep, right? So yeah, that's kind of how it works. And for me, I've created a flow that works really well that I know that I can really support mamas on a journey because there's nothing that's going to come quick. It's not a one and done. It's nothing quick. It is a journey over 18 weeks at least. And I know that that's the best way to support mamas. And I know mamas can feel time poor. So there's also the way I structure it is to give you a little bit of space between sessions to practice, to integrate all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that, so you've got your mamas, they're on this program. It is a journey and you mentioned you go deep and, this inner work, is it like you have to go, I mean, if you choose to, if you choose to really do the inner work, it can be quite confronting and uncomfortable at times. So what would your advice be for whether it's partners, friends, or family? How can they support who's doing the inner work?
Oh, if I'm being really honest, for anyone, do your own inner work.
Mm.
If I'm being really honest, but you know what? The best thing you can do is just listen and be really present with their experience. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to give them advice. If you can just hold space for them to just land in, like, I think, that makes such a difference. And then just check in. What are you needing from me? I think can be such an important question to just ask, like, what are you needing right now? Because maybe they're just needing someone to listen to them, or maybe they need a little bit of encouragement to seek support. But I think listening and presence is really underestimated.
Mm.
Yeah, you go.
No, 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 you continue. You continue.
Well, I was just going to say, when you're able to be really present and just listening, that's that moment where someone feels really seen and heard. That's all anyone ever really wants, is to be seen and heard, to be
Oh.
to be witnessed.
Mm. Yeah. But even just that for mums not even doing the inner work, just to be listened and to be held in presence is so important.
Mm.
If you don't mind, I might add too, if you are listening and being that support person for a mama, is also being mindful of not then making it about you, like not making their experience about you, because then it just gets back into that loop, right? Like we're so good at making meaning, but sometimes I think just sitting there and listening with openness can be, I think, be really cathartic for both people.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
let's just honor and acknowledge, witnessing someone you love and that you deeply care about go through something or express something that's challenging for them. Naturally, you want to help them. Naturally, you want to make them feel better, right? Like there's that natural urge to do that. And I think you touch on a beautiful point, because I think partners can find that quite tricky, and they think, oh, I'm not doing enough for them.
Mm.
And it's not about that. It's just about sometimes a little bit of venting.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I think women, well, there was something I read recently. I don't know how valid it is, but it was about the science, some science was backing women needing to vent and just
Oh,
get
yeah.
things off their chest, and how much of a release that can be for women to do that safely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Nat, for women who can't access the formal coaching for whatever reason, I'm aware you have the Authentic Motherhood Circle, or which is on Facebook. Would you like to talk to
Yeah.
us about that?
Yeah. So I have a free Facebook group for mamas, and I'm in there frequently, at least once a week. And I just share bits and pieces about what's going on for me in motherhood. So sometimes it's a little story, sometimes it's a tip, sometimes it's some deep reflection. And within that, in one of the video albums, I did just a reset, a 5-day reset. And that's just about guiding you within, a little bit like that process that I took you through before, of like that awareness piece, how to bring awareness to our body and what's happening. So that's in there. So if you're curious, just jump into the Facebook group. If you're not quite sure, like, where is that? Just send me a DM. Honestly, that's the easiest thing. And I can link it all up. And if you're like, I don't really like DMing people, I hear you, I get it. On my profile at the top, there's a link on both my Instagram and my Facebook account that can grant you access to it as well.
Perfect. And we'll include the link, if you don't mind, I can include it in the show notes. So, okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. And then so we'll include access to your social media handles. Do you have a website?
No.
So social media handles and the Facebook group.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And I can give feedback on the nervous system reset that Nat has done. So everyone listening, it's so beautifully shared, and Nat speaks so eloquently. So even when she is sharing what's going on for her, you can really sense a compassion towards yourself, but you also speak with such authority. Like, it's very evident how much inner work you have done on yourself and how you're then able to show up with authenticity and openness for your clients and just in general, the mothers that you speak to. So,
Thank you.
yeah, no, you're welcome. I think we might leave it there. I'm just noticing the time. It, unfortunately, with the tech issues, it's sent us overboard tonight. But there's so much, there's so much more I'd love to speak to you about. So maybe I can get you on another time, talk more about nervous system stuff. I love nervous system juiciness. Yeah. So just a final closing for the mums listening who's thinking, oh, this is me. I don't know where to start or how to even approach this. What would your message be for her?
The message I would have, I was just really tuning into that. And it's like, there's no perfect place to start, in the sense that wherever you start is the perfect place. I happened to start with mindset work, and that led me into a whole heap of other stuff. So wherever you are at your journey, you are exactly where you need to be, and just go to whatever resonates for you, where you feel called to, with who you feel called to. Because you might not feel called to work with me, but perhaps listening to this has inspired you to go, oh, that's that person. Or maybe just to go to a breath work class, maybe to go to a women's circle. Like, just start, just take a step.
Absolutely. And in my experience, any time I've stepped into like a container or a healing or a workshop, the people there, we're all in this together. We all have we all have our things, and we're all there for a reason. And I've always found the women so supportive and nurturing and loving, and I've never come out feeling judged for feeling judged or anything. So
Yeah.
just want to
And
reiterate that, like,
the other thing I want to
supported.
add, often feeling fear is a part of taking that step, because we're stepping outside of our comfort. We're stepping outside of something that's familiar. So do it with the fear. Hold the hand of the fear and take the step.
There's that quote, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know who it was, some wise sage. Oh, Matt, thank you so much for sharing your energy and your time and wisdom with us. And yeah, I've just loved having you on. So we will share all that again in the show notes, but it's Natalie.Olson.
Or Olson Natalie.
Olson.Natalie.
It will be in the show.
If not, this is Nat Olson. Absolute delight having you on. And yeah, how blessed the mums are to come into contact with you and to do your program. So thank you for doing the work, and thank you for putting your work out there.
Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, to everyone else, we will see you next time. And yeah, breathe, love, be present, and enjoy your day. Bye.
See ya.
Thank you for joining me on Breathe, Love, Parent. If this episode brought you a moment of calm or connection, please share it with a fellow mama. Subscribe on your favourite platform or visit shineom.com.au/podcast for more. Until next time, keep breathing, laughing, and parenting with heart. The information shared on Breathe, Laugh, Parent, the Shine On podcast, is for general educational and inspirational purposes only. It is not medical, therapeutic, or professional advice and should not be relied on as such. Always consult qualified health or parenting professional for support tailored to your individual needs. Shine On and its guests disclaim any liability for decisions made based on this content.